This is Kaya Redford coming back at you again, the founder of Global Transformation Academy. I have an exciting, like one of my most super exciting / most favorite topics, leadership and conflict resolution. Oh my gosh, so excited. This is a massive talk today, as there's a lot going on right now, as you know. This is what this is really about. It's about leadership and conflict resolution. It's about helping people bridge the divide, the division in this world, and help us to become happier. Who doesn't want to have happiness, love, abundance, peace, and joy in their life and not have to worry about the stress and the anxiety and the frustration that goes on with the exact opposite of love, which is, the fear-based mentality that's going on. So I've just shared this in our group, A Dream to Bring the World Together. And they're from all over the world. We got people from Pakistan, people from South Africa, people from Middle East, people from China, New Zealand, Japan, like literally everywhere. And today's topic really is going to be an empowering tool I'm going to share with you that is going to completely transform your life if you take on this tool. And it is the same tool that's going to help you transform your relationships and also transform the way the world thinks and help bridge the divide that's going on in this world. It's all about freeing us so that we can become the creators we were designed to be, and not the people that have to look around our back worrying about being attacked, right? Whether it's wars, whether it's in your family. We're going to go over a tool of empowerment. This tool is going to help you, empower you in such ways that is going to blow your mind. It blows my mind all the time. Leadership and conflict resolution. We've had the honor and privilege of actually working with the mayor's office doing leadership trainings for the city for quite some time. And by doing this, I've learned quite a bit about how to actually resolve conflicts and some powerful tools that all of us get to use. So I'm going to share a very powerful tool with us today that is going to help you transform your life. And I'm going to focus on you first, right? Why am I focusing on you? Because eventually we're going to get to the topic of the world. But in order for us to create change in the world, right? We've got a group, by the way, you should join, A Dream to Bring the World Together. In order to change the world, you've heard this before, and I don't mean to be corny, it's just true. You get to be the change that you want to see in the world, right? You get to be the change that you want to see in the world. We get to be the change. In fact, there's a theory that when you change, when I change, we can change and we do change the world. We have that much power. So that's what this is about. So let's start with you, let's start with I. And then we can broaden the scope to talk about the world. And at the end of the day, this is really about bringing happiness, love, peace, and joy and abundance in your life and having it for everybody. Because when we went to Brazil last year, we went and launched a coaching company there. What we discovered is that, they are incredible people, such loving people. And when we shared the message with them in Brazil, which we're going to be sharing in your country soon, no matter where you're joining us from, is that we're here to grow together. We're here to learn together. Nobody's better than anybody else. There's this theory that people have that they're better. That they're better because of the color of the skin or because where they live or what culture or what money they have. And no one's better than anybody else. We're all created equal on this earth. And I know that we all know this deep down inside. But the ego, there's a part of our mind that wants to keep us separate, right? It is the part of our mind that is based on fear. And that's what we're going to get into talk about today. It's based on fear and it's based on comparison. I got to compare myself to you. You got to compare yourself to me, and then by the comparisons, we feel that we can be superior. And why do we want to be superior? We want to feel superior because we deep down inside we feel inferior, right? A superiority complex comes from an inferiority mindset. When you know that you are secure and you know that you're one with everybody, there's no need to be better. You know that everybody is a light. Everybody is a star. Everybody has a beautiful gift. And what you want to do is you just want to share your gifts with others and you want them to share your gifts with you. So, okay, the topic, do you want to be happy? Right? Do you want to have love in your life? Do you also want to end, frustration, or most people are living miserable lives and they become comfortable with that. They've accepted misery as actually okayness. They've accepted misery as an illusion of that's what happiness looks like. Well, no. Happiness is not misery. Misery is misery and happiness is happiness. What I'd like to do is share with you about a gentleman that I met not too long ago. And he came to me and he said, you know what? I have gone through a really tough time. We actually did a documentary. We filmed and directed and produced a documentary called Homeless in America in New York and in LA. It came out in 2004 and it won an award. So I'm an award-winning director and producer, of that documentary called Homeless in America. And in that movie, we were showing the plight of the homeless, people that are homeless, that are hungry, that really don't have anything. And so in that documentary, in the travels that I was doing, I had a man came up to me once and said he's very, very angry. And I asked him why. Why are you so angry? What's going on? And he says, you don't understand. I've been mugged 8 times in 6 months. I thought, took a step back. You've been mugged 8 times in 6 months. And I asked him, I said, like, how? And he says, well, you don't need to ask me how. I know how. There's no freaking lighting. There's not enough police on the streets. Police chief sucks in this city. The mayor is not doing anything. There's no protection for citizens. And he just went on and started bitching and complaining and moaning. And I could see literally his face was fuming mad. His veins were popping out of his neck. He was just getting angrier and angrier. And I was just listening and I was giving him this opportunity just to vent. And after a few minutes, he goes from the police chief to the mayor. Then he starts talking about the president, the United States of America. Then he went on talking about the last president and the president before that. And he kept going and going. And I just heard all of this stuff. And I empathized. Wouldn't you empathize with someone who's been mugged so many times? Right? So I empathized. And as I'm listening, I started to get his map of the world. Right? And what I want to share with you today is a concept that is going to change your life and change my life. As I asked him, I said, when did this start? Usually stuff like this isn't just random. When did you started feeling this, he said, like a victim? I said, well, yeah, he says, I feel like I've got a big V on my forehead saying, I'm the victim, come pick on me, come hurt me, because I don't understand why everybody is always out to get me. So I'm asking you, do you know someone who seems to attract a lot of negative experiences? As you think about the person that attracts those negative experiences, do you notice that sometimes the common denominator in that experience is who? It's them. That person is usually the common denominator in these negative experiences, right? So he's got this anger and this frustration. And I asked him, this feeling that you have, this belief that you have, that you're walking around with a V on your forehead saying V for victim. How long you had that V? Like, when did that V start? Did you all of a sudden, you're 35 and these bad things start to happen to you just this year? Or has this been a pattern that's been precipitating over many years of your life? Have you always felt? And that's when he kind of shrugged his shoulders and he was reminiscing and he was thinking about this. And I was saying to him, well, when did this first start? And he's listening and thinking, pondering, and he says, as long as I can remember, from the time I was a little kid, everybody was trying to mess with me. He used a different word, right? It was a F word. Everybody used to try to something with me, right? And I said to him, I said, can you go back? Can you recall? Like, what was the first time something like this happened? And he talked about being in school and not being too popular and, coming to school with his little teddy bear friend, something that kids probably shouldn't be bringing to school because they're maybe a little too old to be carrying around something like that. And someone ripped it out of his hand, one of his classmates ripped it out of his hands, and then looked at it and started laughing at him, and threw it to another kid who looked at it and started to rip it apart and laughing at him. And it just went around, and they all started to pick on him. And it was in this moment where he kind of, instead of standing up for himself, instead of, being empowered in that moment, he just caved in and he started crying. And then they just all it just got worse. So it kind of started way, way long time ago, younger than 10 years old. And he'd lived his life for many, many years being a person that saw himself and felt like a big victim, and people would constantly mess with him. So I'm going to ask you this question. Do you know someone who has, they seem to have hard luck? They seem to things don't seem to go their way. They seem to attract negative experiences. So what I shared with him is, unless he were to find out what really is at the root of all that, he's literally going to continue to experience the same thing. Does this make sense? I'm going to draw something out. And if you have a piece of paper and a pen, this would be a perfect time for you to get a piece of paper, pen, and draw something out too, because this is really, really, really important. So we're over here, and I'm going to draw something out. So cause, right? Cause, C for cause, right? Cause is greater than what? Effect. So E stands for effect. This is the principle. Cause is greater than effect. I'm going to break it down to you simply. Now, think of cause and effect as, if you're on this effect side of the equation, what you're doing is you're giving reasons. You're giving reasons and excuses why your life isn't the way you want it to be. So you're literally giving explanations of why things are the way they are. You can either give reasons or excuses, or you can get results. So let's just simply break it down just like that. Reasons or results? Do you want to give reasons why life is not the way you want it to be? Or do you want to get the results of life being exactly the way you want it to be? Do you want to give reasons or do you want to give results? A person that's giving reasons is living out effect. A person that's getting results is a person that's living at cause, meaning they're empowered. Now, you may ask yourself, okay, so how do I know if I'm here versus here, right? So let me ask you a question. We're talking about everything today. We're talking about conflicts in our family. We're talking about conflicts in our marriages and inside our family. We're talking about conflicts in our greater family. We're talking about conflicts in our business. We're talking about conflicts in our community. We're talking about conflicts in politics. We're talking about conflicts in sports. There's conflicts everywhere, and conflicts in the world at large, right? We're talking about conflicts literally everywhere. I know people coming around holiday time who have family members that they haven't seen in years. Even me, myself, I'm quarter American, quarter Irish, quarter Turkish, quarter Italian. I've got this family that for many, many years, and they're mostly all passed on now, who had not seen each other for all these years, had not communicated for all these years. So whatever beef there was, they don't even have a relationship with each other, right? So they're in the family, and you got one side of the family who doesn't speak to the other side of the family, and then these poor families have kids, and you've got these grandkids these innocent little babies that are growing out of these two sides of the same family who never grew up to know each other because the parents, the siblings at the top, allow their pridefulness and their ego and their selfishness and their desire to be right, their desire to, make other people wrong, to blame, to attack their own blood, their own family. Now, these poor little kids will never get to know each other because the parents are so divided. And I know you know this to be the case. I know you know families where this is happening literally right now. It's happening in the marriage. There's 52% divorce rate, okay? And I thought the US was one of the worst divorce rates in the world. And I actually found out that there's countries in Europe that have a higher divorce rate than the US. What country specifically? I will have to find it, but in Europe, there's countries that have a 70 to 75, even close to 80% divorce rate. What's going on? So it's happening in the marriage. It's happening in the family, okay? Right? People are also in business, doing the same thing. What are they doing? They're doing the same thing. Employees, leaders are giving reasons. They're giving excuses. They're complaining. They're justifying, but they're not getting results. Why? Because they're so preoccupied at giving reasons and excuses instead of stepping over the cost side of the equation to get results. So notice that I just said this, stepping over to the cost side of the equation. Now, think about this. Anytime we're frustrated, right? Anytime we're frustrated or we're angry, and by the way, let me write this down. Anytime the person's living in this side where they're giving reasons, they're usually angry. So there's anger. They're usually sad because they don't have the results they want. So there's usually sadness. Guaranteed there's fear. Guaranteed there's hurt. Right? People hurting each other. They say hurt people. So they hurt people, right? They sure feel guilty. They feel guilty about what they're doing to one another, right? So anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. What else? I can't write them all down, but it's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, resentment. I gotta write down resentment. Resentment's a big one. Resentment, frustration. Gotta write down frustration. Frustration. Even rage. Remember when they talk about rage? They talk about road rage, right? Rage. There's all the negative emotions come on this side where people are frustrated. So here's the thing. Anytime we're experiencing these negative emotions, have you ever heard someone say to you that when you experience negative emotions, there's always a gift, there's always a lesson, there's always a learning, right? So I'd like you to think of this as you. I'd like you to think of no matter what spiritual path you believe in, right? I'd like you to think of this as the universe, right? Or your creator, right? And Albert Einstein, if we have any respect for that man, Albert Einstein said, we live in a friendly universe. He says, the universe is always trying to send us the right person, the right places, the right things for us to grow. And lessons, right? You've heard this. You either fail or you didn't fail, you learned lessons, right? So the universe is trying to give us the lesson, right? But guess what we do? We try to push the lesson away. We're so busy trying to blame someone else that when we're supposed to get the learning and the lesson from this experience, we're not getting the learning lesson because we're not owning the cause. We're not stepping over the cause side of the equation. Stepping to the cause side of the equation is saying, how am I at cause? Right? What I noticed too is that there's a lot of attack going on with different people, judging other people, judging other countries, judging other cultures. And I've heard people have judgment on many cultures as if we're any different, as if anybody on this planet is any better than anybody else. We know for a fact no one is better, no one is superior. We're all brothers and sisters in this journey, and we are in each other's lives. We're here to help each other grow. And how good is it for one person to grow when someone else is suffering? It doesn't feel good. Okay, so You've got these experiences coming in. The man got mugged 8 times in 6 months. Well, guess what? He was not getting the memo. He was not getting the memo. By the way, what do you do? What does a person do when they're living in effect? If you want to know how you know if you are or someone you know is living at effect on this side, which is disempowerment, they're doing one of 4 things. Number 1 is blame. As soon as you start blaming something or anything on anybody, you're immediately living at effect. You're immediately going to feel anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame. You're also immediately not going to get the results. Let me repeat this. As soon as you start blaming anything on anybody, automatically you're never going to get the result you want. Because you're on the wrong side of the equation. Right? The second thing you do that shows that you or someone you know is on the effect side of the equation is you deny. Me? Oh, not me. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I know see, I know hear, I know no, I know nothing. It's like burying your head in the freaking sand. Burying your head in the freaking sand and then waking up and going, well, I don't like the world the way it is. Meanwhile, my head has been buried in the sand, out of sight, out of mind, for a matter of years. And then I pull my head out of the sand and go, well, I don't know why the world is so messed up. I mean, I had nothing to do with it. Well, yeah, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the what? Freaking problem. If you're not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. So when we deny that, I'm peaceful, I'm good, it's all them, guess what? Anytime you're denying, not me, it's them, it's still what? Still blame. It's still freaking blame. Blame is blame. Blame is blame. Deny is blame. Being in denial is blaming indirectly. Because if you're denying that you are creating anything other than love and peace and harmony in the world, because unless you have it perfect in your life, if you deny it, then guess what? That presupposes that someone else must be doing it. Someone else must be doing this. So denying is in fact indirectly blaming someone else. Make sense? What's the third thing? The third thing we do when we're living out effect, okay? Living out effect is giving reasons, blaming, denying. The third thing you do that's a tip-off for a person that is living out effect is justify. Now, what do I mean by justify? Well, hey, well, you did this to me first. You did this. You gossiped on my back, behind my back. You threw the stone at me. You said this to me. You made me. Oh, this is the famous one. You forced me to get so angry that then I hit you, or then I attacked you. So you attacked me that caused me to attack you. Well, no one can make you do anything. If you believe that someone can make you anything, you've given your power away. Have you ever heard this quote? If anybody can make you angry or even happy, angry, happy, or sad, positive emotions or negative emotions, if anybody can cause and create your emotional state rather than you, then you have been had, meaning you have given your power away to be taken advantage of. You've literally taken advantage of yourself. Well, you make me this. No one makes you, right? You made yourself. You choose the experience of the experience. I know this may sound like a little crazy little way of describing this. Someone could come up to me and go, Kaya, and slap me in the face. I could get so angry and say, you caused me to do this to you, and attack them. I could totally do that. Or they go like this and I go, wow, thank you. I needed that little slap in the face to wake up, right? Because you know what? I was asleep. Thank you. I'm awake now. Let's go. I'm going to interpret this gesture in a way that's going to disempower me. Being angry disempowers me. Or I'm going to choose this in a way that empowers me. And so what decision, what choice am I making based upon what's being done in my direction? Am I choosing to take it on as a disempowering thing or an empowering thing? So what happens is when people are justifying, they make excuses, right? They're giving reasons and excuses. What would be a good example? Well, yeah, in a marriage. In a marriage, okay. Integrity is integrity, right? And everybody has a different deal. When you make an agreement with someone and you break the agreement, right? And then now the other person breaks their agreement and says, well, you did it first. Well, wait a minute. That's a justification, right? So at the end of the day, we got to be all responsible. We got to take cause for our decisions, right? So justifying is making an excuse and giving a reason why we did something instead of owning it and saying, I chose to do it, but instead trying to say you or some situation gives me a reason. There is never a reason to kill someone. Unless it's literally life or death, right? And we get that. We get that. This is a complex topic. It's a complex topic that goes so deep. It's really about people saying, okay, well, you did this to me first, so that's why I did it. Or there's not enough opportunities. There's not enough this, so that causes me to go and do this. And that's just a justification. That's, again, not owning what you're doing. Blaming, denying, justifying. And the fourth one is minimizing. Minimize. So blame, deny, justify, minimize. Minimize is a good one. Think of minimize as kind of like suppressing. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who was taking their big problems and trying to push them down like they're not a big deal? You know, how's the finances? Oh, I mean, it's not bad. It's not that bad. Well, we still have our house. I mean, it's in foreclosure. We may lose our house in the next month or two, but we haven't lost it yet. So it's not that bad yet. I mean, it's not that bad. My car has not been repossessed yet. They may pick up my car for lack of payment for the last 3-4 months, but I still have my car. So it's really not that bad yet. Oh, so it's really not that bad, right? Then you ask them, well, how's the marriage? I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, we're not We're not divorced yet. How are the kids? I mean, I've got 3 kids. I mean, it's not that bad. 2 of them will never speak to me again. One of them does talk to me. He's on drugs, but at least he talks to me and he asks me for money, which, I give him some money and I think he's probably using the money to buy drugs. But it's not that bad. At least I have one of my kids that still talks to me. Do you get it? How's the cancer? Oh, it's not that bad. I'm not dead yet. So the person that's minimizing is taking this thing that's 911, that's a massive issue, and they're diminishing it because they don't want to feel bad. And while they're diminishing it, they're not taking action on it. So the thing that they're diminishing gets worse and 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 worse. You know what happens when the person's minimizing? Eventually the thing that they're diminishing, that it's not that bad yet, eventually that thing gets that bad. Eventually they do lose the house, they do lose the car, they do lose the marriage, right? The 52% divorce rate in the world. They do lose their kids, they do lose their health, they do die eventually. So when we say it's not that bad, we not only minimize it, we also don't change it. We don't take action. As a result of not taking the action that we need to take, what happens is we end up losing it all. So, cause is greater than effect. I've spent a lot of time on this, okay? And we'll get to this. We're focused on you and me first, right? And then we'll go to, the family, the community, the world at large. And I thought, well, we can't really talk about the world yet until we talk about us individually. You can't even focus on how I'm going to change the freaking world when you're in your own household, in your own marriage, in your own relationships, with your own family, in your own business, in your own life, with your own health. You're doing this in your own bubble. So how can we get to talk about bringing the world together when the person individually, himself or herself, has all this stuff going on? So we're going to start with you and I. And then when we're done with this, then we're going to talk about the world. And that's really the purpose of this topic, is how to bring the world together, leadership at conflict resolution. So maybe you're watching this and maybe your world is your office. Maybe your world is your business. Maybe you have a company. Maybe you're a leader of a company, and your world that we're trying to bring together is the staff, is the management, is the leadership, getting everybody on the same page. Maybe you're a sports team. There's a team, a basketball team, right? Basketball in the U.S. Called the National Basketball Association, the NBA. For those of you that are in the U.S., you know exactly what I'm talking about. For people outside, may not know NBA. And there's a team in the NBA called the Los Angeles Lakers, which right now we have LeBron James, who's considered by most people one of the best players in the NBA. And that was the former team of Kobe Bryant, who was one of the best third-time all-time scoring guard for the Lakers. And Kobe Bryant had a teammate called Shaquille O'Neal not too many years ago, maybe 10 plus years ago. And I don't know if you watch a little bit about sports, those two had massive egos, right? They both saw themselves as owners of the franchise, kind of, the franchise player, the top dog, and they both were playing on the same team, and they had a lot of conflicts. They were the best players, and they had the best team. The Lakers were spending the most amount of money than any other team on the players, and yet they were not making it to the championship games. They would get ousted of the playoffs by the Sacramento Kings, right? Or some other teams. The issue was the conflict between Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. This happens in sports. It happens everywhere. And what did Phil Jackson do? So Phil Jackson was hired to come in and get the two egos of those two players to get them to actually play together as a team, right? And the reason why I have this triangle here, right? If you see some videos, you can even see Phil Jackson, or some pictures. You can even see Phil Jackson, the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, doing this, because this is the triangle offense and that's a triangle defense. It's the way that they played the game. And what Phil Jackson realized is that you've got to get these two people out of the conflict. You got to get them out of their egos. You got to get them to focus on the vision. You're either focusing on what you guys want, or you're focusing on the greater vision. And so another example, and we got it right now going on in politics. Literally right now, politically, there's a lot of this going on. Meanwhile, things are not progressing as fast as they could if we were to stop doing this and we were to start doing this, which is building. Building, right? You're either 100% in support of, and this is something we teach in our conflict resolution program, you're either 100% in support of the leadership. I don't care if you don't like the president. If the president's the freaking president, support the president. Support the country, right? Where you are right now, be supportive of no matter where you are, right? Now, I get it. Certain people are doing things, unscrupulous, whatever, but the point is that you can't attack and fight negativity with negativity. It doesn't go anywhere. So that's a whole other topic. You're either 100% support of the leadership and the mission and the vision, or if you're not, you're in sabotage mode. That's what this is, sabotage. What many people do is they sabotage the vision because they have their own agenda, right? So we're agreeing this, showing up in your households, showing up in your marriages, showing up in your family, showing up with your kids, showing up in your business, showing up in sports, showing up in politics, showing up in religion, showing up in racial discrimination, showing up in workplace, showing up everywhere. Or we step over the cause side of the equation. Now, remember we talked about it, which is that the universe, Albert Einstein said, is a friendly universe, is always trying to give you the right places, the right people, the right things, so that you can learn the lessons you need to learn and grow. But meanwhile, what we do is we're trying to push away and blame someone else. We're trying to push away and deny it's not me. We're trying to push away and justify why we do what we do. Or we're trying to minimize. So instead of gaining those lessons, the lessons of which will help us evolve and grow, we're pushing away the lessons. And so we never get the lessons. Like, have you ever heard someone say, hey, did you get the memo? No, people are not getting the memo. So that, guess what? The universe, or call it whatever you want to believe in, has to give us another lesson, has to keep sending us the negative experience again and again and again and again and again in the hopes that we'll learn the lesson. Meanwhile, we're pushing away, we're not accepting the lesson, we're not taking ownership of what we are doing, and as a result, we're not getting the result we want to get. Make sense? Instead of pushing away the lesson that's trying to freaking come to you, instead, do what? Receive. Receive. How do you receive? How do you step over the cost side of the equation? You ask yourself, okay, if I cause this, if I were to say, I created this, and some people go, well, I didn't create this. That's BS. That's bullshit. I didn't create this. Someone else did this. Well, as soon as you do that, you go right back to what? You go right back to effect. As soon as you go, I didn't create this. As soon as you do that, you're right here again. Which means you feel angry, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, resentment. You feel all this negative stuff. And by the way, the Journal of American Medical Association in June of 1996 connected anger to heightened cholesterol and heart attacks. Did you know that? Did you know that the Journal of American Medical Association, June 1996, connected sadness to a weakened immune system, so people get sick and maybe even die? They connected fear to phobias and PTSD. They connected hurt to lowered healing energy, so the body's ability to self-heal is hindered. They connected conflict. That's freaking right, conflict. That's right, conflict right here. They connected conflict to cancer. So do you know anybody that's heavily conflicted? Do you? What we've realized is people that are heavily conflicted, they are more susceptible to disease. One of my early mentors, Bob Proctor, he says, a mind that's not at ease is a mind that is in disease. A mind that's not at ease, a mind that's not peaceful, that's conflicted, that's worrying this person and that one, this person, a mind that's constantly fighting is a mind that's not at ease. And a mind that's not at ease is a mind that is in disease. So this issue at the cellular level is killing us. Do you guys get this? It's killing us. So stepping over the cost side of the equation. So how do you step over here? How have I created this experience? If I'm the cause, how have I created this experience? What was it that I said, or what was it that I did that caused this? I love this. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I love this so much. Because what did I say or what did I do that caused this? Well, guess what? I just discovered my breakthrough. My breakthrough is that all I need to do is change that behavior, right? So whatever it is that I'm doing that's causing what I don't want, if I own that I'm the one that's creating it, if I own the fact, and I want you to repeat with me here, I want you to repeat with me right now this term, okay? This is not going to be popular. I could care less about being popular right now. I care about your results. I'm going to say that again. I don't care about popularity. I care about results. Every single day, I'd be happy with you getting results if I'm unpopular with what I'm saying. I want results. I don't want reasons why you didn't get what you want. I want results. So I want you to repeat this after me. Here it is. I cause and or attract the good in my life. I cause and or attract the bad in my life. I cause and or attract the ugly in my life. The good, the bad and the ugly. Where did I get that from? I got that from the movie with Clint Eastwood, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, you created it, you caused it, or you attracted it. And some people go, well, okay, attraction is not the same thing as creation. Yes, it is. Attraction is exactly the same thing as creation. Because when something comes to you and you've attracted it, you were being a certain way that brought it to you, right? So it's like you created it. In the world of infinite possibilities, with all these different options that can happen, this one came to you, this one became your reality because you created it. So you created something, right? Or you attracted something. Now this reminds me of my dad. My dad, petroleum engineer, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, he was very much a space cadet. He was a genius. He was probably the top 5 people in doing his skill set in the world. But he was a space cadet, right? He wasn't aware of what's going on around him. My dad, my father, Attila, by the way, his name was, he passed away a few years ago. He would travel around the world. This man went to Libya, Iraq, Iran, Azerbaijan, all over the Middle East, all over Europe as a petroleum engineer. Very well loved, very well respected man. And at the same time, he was a space cadet. What do I mean by that? He was not aware of his surroundings. He walked around like this with his briefcase and his papers and his pen, and think of it like a genius, like a mad scientist. You could walk by the mad scientist. He wouldn't even say hi to you because he's not present. He's not in the moment. He's in his head. He's in all these numbers and all these facts and all this stuff. That's how my dad was. So guess what happened to him? Just like the guy from New York, my dad got mugged a few times. The last one was in London. That one really, really scared us, really deeply, deeply scared us because as he described it, like 4 or 5 men just, beat him down in an alleyway, and they wanted to take his briefcase and his watch and his ring, and he's literally fighting for his life. And instead of letting go of the briefcase and the watch, he held on and he wouldn't let it go. So they kept beating him, right? There's times when he was at the airport, many times where he would go to the ticket counter and he would ask a question to the clerk at the ticket counter. Meanwhile, he put his luggage behind him and he wasn't even looking at his stuff behind him. So then he would finish and they would turn around and his stuff was gone. So let me ask you a question, because some people would say, that's not his fault. That's the criminals that did this to him. It's their fault. No. We're not teaching that here, right? If you are attracting negative experiences, the question is, and this is really going deep, I'm talking about my own dad. Hello? You don't think I want to protect my dad and say, all this stuff happened to him, it wasn't his fault. It's my own father. Of course I want to protect him. And even now I'm not going to do that. Why? Because it was the fact that he was so tunnel visioned, he wasn't aware of surroundings, he was easy prey to be taken advantage of, whereas someone else who walks, aware, present in their surroundings, has that much less likely to happen to them because they're present. So you tell me, was my dad's way of being in any way the perfect storm for stuff to happen to him? And if he were to become aware of that and just become a little more aware, self-aware and observant, do you think there's a chance that those type of situations probably wouldn't happen to him as much? Absolutely. That's the lesson here. We all get to stop pretending like we're victims and like things are happening to us out of our control. We all need to stop pretending that we're holier than thou and everybody else has the problem. And we are completely, we wash our hands off any ownership, any responsibility for what stuff that comes into our life. We are in control of all of it. Or at least one could say we're co-creators. We have a creator, whatever creator you believe in, right? And we're a creator too, co-creators, right? So what are we creating? What are we attracting? What are we manifesting? By the way we're being. Does this make sense? By the way we are being. So that's why personal growth is so important, because if you don't change something within, the thing that's outside isn't going to change. It's going to constantly show up. It's always going to be a struggle. If you're vibrating with struggle in your life and you're not changing something about you to attract something different or better, you're always going to attract that same damn thing. So if it's to be, it's up to me. Write that down. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. I get to stop blaming other people. I get to stop denying that I'm cause of this. I get to stop justifying making excuses. I get to stop minimizing. I get to start stepping over the cost side of the equation and asking myself the $1 million question. That $1 million question is, how am I at cause for the results I have in my life? How am I at cause? What am I doing that's causing this thing to show up? What am I not doing? So first part, what am I doing that causes this to show up in my life? And the second part, what am I not doing that I should be doing that's causing this thing to show up in my life? So a lot of people are struggling. What am I doing? I'm doing non-income producing activities. I'm struggling in my life, and what am I doing? I'm doing non-income producing activities. I'm doing everything else except for what I need to do to put food on the table. That's an example of a person that's not doing what they need to do. They're not prospecting. They're not picking up the phone. They're not humbling themselves. They're not getting out there on the street. They're not knocking on the doors. They're not serving. They're not giving. They're not helping humanity. They're sitting there and going, why is my life the way it is, when they're not contributing anything? You get me? Right? Every single day you got to show up, you got to get out there, and you got to contribute. Your life, my life, all of our lives will be directly proportional to our ability to and our measure of contribution to other people. You help people get what they want, you will get what you want, right? You've heard this before. So if you're not getting what you want, it probably has something to do with you're not giving what you could. If you're not getting what you want, it probably has something to do with you're not giving what you could be giving. Or instead of loving, you're probably withholding your contribution, your love, or whatever that is. When I say if it is to be, it's up to me. I don't want us to get confused to think that I mean that it's me, myself, and I only. No, we're not saying it's me, myself, and I only. When we say if it's to be, it's up to me, what we mean to say, I'm the initial cause and creator of my experience of reality. Get a load of this. See, cause is greater than effect. Another word is creator. See, and then creator. Right? Cause, creator. And effect. Another word for effect is what? Experience. Have you ever heard this term? That we are the creator of our experience? Have you ever heard that? We are the creator of our experience of reality. Have you ever heard that? Absolutely, you've heard that. So going back to this, what am I doing that's causing this to be the way it is? Or what am I not doing that I should be doing? So what am I doing? The person who's being lazy, I'm doing non-income producing activity. I'm hanging out, partying, drinking, abusing my body instead of contributing to humanity. What am I doing? I'm spending my time fighting and arguing and creating fights and arguments with people instead of going out there and building a vision. That's what I could be doing that's causing what I don't want, is I'm approaching life through animosity rather than approaching life through love. Number one. The flip side of it, what am I not doing? Well, what am I not doing? I'm not taking action. I'm not knocking on doors. I'm not making the calls. I'm not contributing, and I'm not loving my brother and my sister the way I should. My brother and my sister, meaning every single person in this world. So once we're here, I like for us to think of the gym, right? Many of us go exercise, right? I go to the gym sometimes late at night. Like last night I was at the gym 11 p.m. till midnight. And, I say this all the time. I say, there's this woman who's maybe 100 pounds, maybe 105 pounds. She's like not even 5 feet. and she's the person that's locking up the gym at night. So there's really nobody else there. And because all of the men, and some women too, had been lifting all the weights, what they do is they lift the weights and they put them on the floor. They put them all over the floor instead of picking up the weights and re-whacking them, right? They leave them all on the floor. So this poor woman has to spend the last 20 minutes to pick up the weights and re-whack the weights. So guess what? You hear her say, please, you guys, if you're strong enough to pick up the weight, you're strong enough to put the weight back. Have you ever heard that? If you're strong enough, guys, to pick up the weight, you're strong enough to put the weight back. Would you please put the weights back, guys? Same thing with this. If you're strong enough to create this drama in your life, if you're strong enough to manifest or attract this drama in your life, you're strong enough to put it back. The only way you can do that, in my opinion, is some form of transform. Some form of transformation, right? You got to go, what is it inside me that's causing this result? How do I change this result? You can't change the result out there without creating a change inside. That's why we're so big on personal growth and transformation, because when you change, you can change the whole entire world around you. You have that much power. So I've helped you learn a little bit about cause. And essentially, if you want to know how to be a cause, I want you to take that thing that you're frustrated about and ask yourself, how am I possibly creating that in my life? Write this down. So the question is, what is it about me that's causing this, and how can I dig deep and change that? How can I dig deep and change and transform? What's the one thing or two things about me that I get to change? If you're not growing, you're dying, right? If you're not improving yourself, you're static. And if you're static, as the world just keeps moving faster and faster, you're actually in decline. Static is actually, as the world's moving fast, when you're in static, you're actually in decline compared to the world, which means you're in decay. You're dying in some form. So, everybody got a sense of this, yes? Yes? Okay, perfect. I'm going to share something with you that a lot of this is rooted in some form of fear. So I'm going to write it vertically here. This is a fear-based mentality. If you want to sum up this one thing, you could sum it up as effect, being an effect, giving your power away, or you can also sum it up as a fear-based mentality. And what is fear based on? Fear is based on there's not enough. I'm not safe. To survive, I need to beat you. I need to be better than you. I need to be superior than you, because really what I'm essentially saying is I'm scared of you, right? You threaten me. So I need to be superior to you so that I can feel safe. I'm always comparing myself to you, right? So when we're able to step out of fear and we're able to step into, I'm going to go purple, we're able to step into this one here, right, which is love. I don't know if you can see this is purple, right? When you're able to step into love, it's a completely different mindset. Here you love yourself through the process of taking cause. You know, I'm going to step over the cause side of the equation, and I'm going to take action based on somehow there's something about me that's causing this. I'm going to love myself enough to take ownership of that and make a change. When you're making a change within, you're actually loving yourself by giving yourself what you really want. So this tool is all about transformation and empowerment. We can write down the word empowerment. This is about transformation and empowerment. So my question to you is, what side of this equation are you on? Are you living at the effect side, where you're angry? or angry at someone or something, where you're sad about something, where you're in fear or concern or worry or doubt or anxiety about something, where you feel guilty or you feel resentment on someone. You know, resentment, I always say resentment is actually like, or jealousy. Resentment and jealousy, which I haven't written here, is like drinking poison and hoping and expecting someone else is going to die. So I'm going to say that again. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping and expecting someone else is going to die. That's what resentment is. So a lot of this is toxic for your body. And the Journal of American Medical Association is literally connecting all of these to heightened cholesterol, heart attacks, weakened immune system, lowered healing energy, cancer, and all this. So we get to let this go. How do we let this go? That's the reason why now I come back down to love. You know, love is a massive, massive piece of this. And so my question to you is, first, let me focus on you. On what side of the equation are you on in your personal life, in your marriage, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you have an intimate relationship, or if you have a marriage, or you have a family, in what side of the equation are you on? Are you blaming anything on anybody? Are you blaming anything on anybody in your personal life? Are you blaming anything to anybody? That's a fact. Are you denying? Well, most people won't put their hand up for denying, because the whole concept of being in denial is you're pretending not to know. So most people are pretending not to know. So why would you ever put your hand up and say denial? Because you're pretending to not even know that you are cause of anything, right? Justifying. If you're giving any excuses, any reasons or justifications or excuses in your personal life for anything, this is a fact. And if you're minimizing, if you're playing down, you're minimizing what's actually pretty bad in your life, you're minimizing it such that you're trying to make it not so bad. Meanwhile, you don't do anything about it. You don't change it. So the bad thing starts to get worse and worse and worse, to a point where I've heard stories where they didn't want to go to the doctor or whatever, and they had this health issue, and they were so scared of going to the doctor, and the health issue gets worse and worse and worse. By the time they go to the doctor, there's nothing the doctor can do. It's too late, right? So sometimes minimizing is allowing something that's bad to get far, far, far worse, right? So if you're doing any of these, you're at effect, stepping over the cause side of the equation, you're empowering yourself, because what did the woman say at the gym? If you're strong enough to pick up the weight, you're strong enough to put the weight back. By putting the weight back, you can actually change the decision. You can change your behavior. You can change your thinking, your feelings, your actions, and you create a totally different result. And guess what? You are now empowered. So the question is, what side of this equation are you on? And if you say you're a cause, you're probably not human. You're probably an alien then, because this is inbred in the human species like no other. If I were to say one thing that we get to change, we get to share with the world that will help end the wars, the conflicts, it's either one of two concepts. It's every thought, decision, and action and behavior comes from love or from fear. That's the one thing. You're either coming from fear or you're coming from love. That's one thing. The second concept I would share with the world is this. You got to step over the cause side of the equation. Instead of blaming people and attacking them, empower yourself to do something, to be the change you want to see in the world. So those are the two things. So what side of the equation are you on? And finally, now to the topic of the world. What side of the equation is the world on? What side of this equation is the world on? I know you know the answer, and I know the answer, but let's just play it out just a little bit. Are the leaders of the world blaming each other? Are they denying that they've created an environment where there's a lack of trust, a lack of communication, a lack of respect, a lack of honoring different cultures, races, religions, right? Is there judgment? Is there people that in the world and cultures where they think this is the right way and yours must be the wrong way? My religion is right. your religion is wrong. And by me having the right religion, that gives me the right to remove you because you have the wrong religion. What's missing in this thing is where we all come together, where we're all one mankind. In our seminars, we welcome everybody, right? We welcome everybody. Same thing with sexual preferences. You know, people that are straight versus people that are gay or lesbian. And then the attacking that's going on based upon sexual preferences. When what's so bad with honoring and respecting? People get to make their own choice and decision. I'm in my body. I'm in control of my body, right? I'm going to do good. You're in your body. You get to choose what you want as long as you're doing good, right? As long as our brothers and sisters doing good, let them choose what religion, what culture, what music, what this. That's what makes us amazing. That's what brings our diversity. We're all different colors. Think about it, the rainbow. You know, you got this big rainbow. You've got the greens, the blues, the reds, the oranges, the browns, the yellows. Can you imagine one color saying, well, you're the wrong color of the rainbow. That's not the right color. Let's attack you because you're not green like us and you're red like you. No. What makes the rainbow is it's all the colors, right? The same thing with an elephant. You know, I look at it, if we were all blindfolded and we put an elephant right here, we're all blindfolded, and each one of us was led to a part of the elephant. One person was placed blindfolded right next to the big elephant's tail. Another person placed next to the elephant right next to the massive muscular torso and thigh. Another was placed right next to, you know, the loopy ear. Another person was placed right next to the trunk. And someone was placed right at the tip of the trunk. And each person was blindfolded and could literally touch the part of the elephant. They would all argue that this is a completely different creature. Each person would say this is a completely different creature. And they would all argue the point. When taking the blindfolders off, we're all looking at the same freaking thing. We're all looking at the same thing. Every time we have this divide based on race, religion, culture, creed, color of your skin, and all this stuff, what we're missing is what the astronauts saw when they landed on the moon. There's a story where the astronauts went, there's 12 astronauts that have actually landed on the moon. And their story of them when they landed on the moon, they were looking back at Earth, they were just overcome with so much emotion because they realized we're this little ball, this Earth is just sitting in the freaking middle of the freaking galaxy in the midst of billions and billions of other planets, and we're all on this ball. We're not going anywhere. We're here, right? You know, we're all created equal. And when you think about this, is that if we were to just stop blaming your brothers and sisters around the world, every single person on this planet, for your mature consideration, I like to look at it as your brother and your sister. Not just your blood brother and sister, your one mankind blood brother and sister. If we get out of denial and stop, you know, putting our hands up and saying, I'm burying my head in the sand, hoping the world's going to change. Meanwhile, I'm not doing anything to change the world. Get out of denial. Instead of justifying why we feel the way we do, instead get results. Make the change. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Instead of minimizing where the world is. Oh, I mean, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. It gets to change. Now, there's some other lessons coming after this. This builds into another lesson, which I will be getting into, which has to do with how we take this mindset and how we project it out in the world, and how what we are seeing in the world is really the reflection of what's inside us. And so that's a deeper work that's based on the psychologist Carl Jung. You may have heard of Jungian psychology with Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, Jungian psychology. And then we're going to talk about focus, how by focusing on problems, we think we're going to end them, but what we do is we just create more of a problem because we're feeding energy into the problem. And then when we feed energy into the problem, the greater the problem. So if your attention's on something it just makes it worse. So we're not focused on solutions, we're focused on problems, so we just keep getting more problems and less solutions. So I'm excited because at the end of the day, you don't have to be here, I don't have to be here. The fact that you're here, the fact that you're watching this means, as the young generation say, you're woke, right? You're woke or you're awakening. So I feel like even now as we speak, I'm birthing the new philosophy, yeah. And my dream, my greatest dream for all of us, as you think of Facebook and certain social media platforms, you think of how it's connecting people through technology. What we would like to do is connect the world through transformation. So, there are some tools that we share with the world. One of them is time-aligned therapy, which is an extremely powerful tool. That's the tool that I use with a gentleman from New York. After he did a breakthrough, he never got mugged again. So when you change, the world around you changes. And these things that happen or that you attract that are somewhat negative stop happening, and create the space for your vision to happen. And the vision that I have for the world, that we all have for the world, is a world that we're happy, we're in peace, we love each other. And so just like Facebook uses technology to connect people, what we are recommending, what we want to do is connect the world through transformation. If more people got a wind of this message, right? So here's the thing. This is transformation. This is transforming your lemons to lemonade, right? All this stuff has a learning and a lesson, that when you get that learning and that lesson, all these experiences go away and you're automatically empowered. So this is transformation. So right now we've shared a concept. The concept is heavy. I'm going to agree with you. The concept is heavy. It probably will be playing through your mind tonight, overnight, tomorrow, and hopefully not forgotten. This is an attempt to wake us all up. Then what happens is, if we don't set an intention to put attention on this, if we don't set the intention to put an attention on this, guess what? We get sucked right back into life. So if you don't do anything, if you just hear this message and you do nothing with this, you're just going to keep attracting what you're attracting. And there's people watching this that are doing well. I mean, absolutely. There are people watching this who are happy. Well, what would it do for you to take that to the next level? And here's the thing. What would it be? What would it mean for you to leave a legacy? A legacy where you lift humanity to another level and you're happy and you can actually help other people around you be happy. What would that do for you? What would that give you? A lot of people go, well, I don't care. That's the world. That's not my problem. I would say, for your mature consideration, you can accept or reject anything I say. If what I say resonates with you, accept it. If what I say doesn't resonate with you, just delete it. For your mature consideration, I think we're all responsible. We did a documentary called Homeless in America in 2004. I co-directed, produced that. It's actually won a Best Social Documentary 2004 at the International New York Film Festival. And I got asked to participate in a new documentary about homeless people and veterans. And you may or may not know, there's a lot of veterans in this world that are suffering. And it's not just in the US, it's everywhere in the world, where the act of war is one that we're not supposed to withstand. The traumas that we experience in these war-torn environments, that's not our natural state. Some people will go, well, that country and that region of the world's been doing this for thousands of years, so yes, that's just the way it is. No, we were not born with it. No one came out of the womb saying, I'm an expression of a war-fearing human being. There's no, show me a baby that wants to wage war. There is no baby on the planet who wants to wage war with anybody. All the children on the planet are born just like perfect little angels coming out of the womb. And this negativity is learned. It's taught. And what we do is we get to choose What is the world that we want to create? I know there's people right now who are working on galactic travel. You got Elon Musk, who's planning to go to Mars. And he's quoted as saying that he will die on Mars. So Elon Musk said he will die on Mars, but not on impact. So he's going to land on Mars, and he's going to build some type of a colony. And then from there, he's going to live out his years and die on Mars. You got Richard Branson, who's Virgin, galactic. So I know this is a kind of a far out statement, but it's already happening. We're already leaving. We're already building a technology to leave planet Earth and go to different places. And I ask myself, who are we? Who is this species that's going to leave planet Earth and going to populate these other planets? And maybe, if you think about this, whether you believe in something that's in a book that says the end of times or whatever your belief is, there's no denying that right now we have the technology in the next 5 years where we're going to be physically going to these places. And so who are we? Who is this species that is going to go to Mars? Who is this species that's going to go and travel around the universe? Like the movies we watch, the Star Treks. Who are we? We are loving mankind? Are we going to spread the light around this universe, around this world? Are we going to take this hatred, this envy, this jealousy, this insecurity, this fear, and populate the world with it? So this is my cause. This is the thing that I'm very passionate about. Obviously, we work with a lot of companies, as you guys know, corporations. We work with the big banks, the big real estate companies, the big financial service companies, the big network marketing companies, the big car dealerships. And you might ask yourself, well, why is he doing that? If he cares about this? Well, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you want to change the world, you might want to work with the groups that run the world, the corporations, the big companies, right? The politicians, or shall I even say the billionaires that run and control the money in the world. You might want to work with them. You might want to bring the conversation at that level. Because you bring the conversation at that level, and if you can create change there, you can create change everywhere. And so that's what this is about. We believe in helping these companies all around the world to realize there's nothing to fight. There's nothing to, competition is healthy, sure, but collaboration is very possible. And helping these companies thrive, and then helping them through philanthropy to help the world at large. So bring this whole conversation together. Thank you. This is a long one, you guys. You had fun. This was a heavy duty lesson, and I'm excited to have shared this powerful lesson with you. So the question really is, on what side of the equation are you on? Are you on the cause side of the equation, where you're creating the positive experiences you want to create by being a certain way that creates it or attracts it? Or are you on the effect side of the equation, where there's always someone else to blame, you're in denial, there's always justifications and excuses to make, and minimization, and this as a result is why we have the situation in the world we have, with marriages at 52% divorce rate, with families being broken apart, with businesses having a hard time, with inner conflicts, problems, with politics and everything. So the solution to all of this, I truly believe, is transformation and empowerment, which is the reason why we have this here, because we believe that we can actually change the world by bringing this conversation to the entire planet. And as you see some of these quotations here, this was a gift given to us by our students that graduated from our academy, Global Transformation Academy, last year. They graduated, and they gave us this gift, and they put some nice messages, and they signed their names. So we belong to the stars. However, we come into this planet to change it with our love, and as we do it, we'll fulfill our mission and become the universe. I love you guys forever. Dharma. This is amazing, you guys. Thank you for joining me. By the way, please, someone needs this message. I don't need to convince you. You already know. Someone needs this message. Someone in your life needs this message. Someone who you have a hard time with, who you have a conflict with, whether it's family or business or life or wherever, needs this message. And if they were to get this message and get the memo, remember Albert Einstein says you live in a friendly universe. It's always trying to send you people, places, and things for you to evolve what you need to evolve. If they were to get the memo, if they were to get the message, they could make the change they need to make. It's never too late to make the change. So I recommend, please share this so that someone else can embrace this tool. And if the person needs more help, you know where to find us. All right? It's actually in the giving that we receive, and only what we're not giving is what we're not receiving. So I say, give everything, and see how your life is going to transform. And thank you for tuning in. Love you. Again, I'm honored to participate here with you, Kai Redford Global Transformation Academy. Love you guys, and I will see you soon.